On this beautiful, breezy Florida spring day, we took a ride over to Tallahassee to visit the old and new state capitol buildings. The old capitol was originally built in 1845 and had been steadily expanded to fit the growing state government's needs. When the new 22-story Capitol building was built in 1977, there was fierce debate over whether to demolish the old Capitol, but it was eventually decided to restore it to its 1902 appearance, while the new Capitol would surround it. Today, the old Capitol is used for tourism and education, and various ceremonial events, such as the governor's inauguration, are held either in or on the steps of the venerable old building. Within its former offices, there are various museum exhibits going through the Sunshine State's rich and eclectic history, covering everything from Spanish rule to modern-day politics. Even former Governor Lawton Childs' famous shoes are included in the exhibits. The old governor's suite is completely original, apparently down to the furniture used here. You have the secretary's room, the cabinet meeting room, and the governor's private office, and all three are linked with the reception room, which is full of the governor's official portraits. The official portraits include Florida's Civil War governors, territorial governors, and the very first one, Andrew Jackson, who served as military governor on Florida's acquisition from Spain. Florida's briefest serving governor was Wayne Mixon, who served only for 3 days when his predecessor Bob Graham was sworn in as a U.S. Senator. The entrance hall is crowned with a beautiful art glass sub-dome underneath the building's cupola. Further exhibits include those dealing with Florida's involvement in the Civil War, which features several of the flag designs believed to have been flown over the old Capitol. You also get a whole room dedicated to the 2000 presidential election fiasco that put South Florida in the world spotlight and saw George Bush, brother of Governor Jeb Bush, ultimately declared the winner of the Electoral College. There's also a bit of information about the famous U.S. Supreme Court case Gideon versus Wainwright. FYI, watch my video about that. On the south end of the first floor, you'll find the former home of the Florida Supreme Court, again restored to its former appearance. The Florida Supreme Court was housed here until 1912, and while seated here, was expanded from 3 to 6 justices to handle increasing caseloads. This room has also been strictly restored to its original appearance. Up on the second floor, you'll find the former home of Florida's legislative branch, with the old Senate on the south end of the corridor. There are 32 desks inside the bar, and the area outside the bar would have been the gallery where members of the public were allowed to view the Senate's proceedings. At the opposite end of the corridor sits the old House of Representatives chamber with 68 desks surrounding the dais. Hanging on the wall behind the Speaker's chair is a reproduction of the famous Gilbert Stuart portrait of George Washington. The chamber is the same size as the Senate chamber, but obviously it's a little more cramped for space as the House is the larger of the two bodies. Between the old and new buildings is a brick plaza flanked on the north and south by the current Senate and House office buildings. The governor's office and Senate and House chambers are housed in the 22-story tower at the center of the complex. The building is notoriously difficult to navigate, but if you can find your way to the 22nd floor, you'll be on the building's observation deck, which has sweeping 360-degree views of the capital city and the surrounding landscape. Also on the 22nd floor is an art gallery which currently features works by the famous Florida Highwaymen, a group of African-American self-taught landscape artists famous for selling their paintings from the trunks of their cars along Florida's coastal highways. A couple blocks west of the Capitol buildings, you'll find the Museum of Florida History, which has free admission and is definitely worth the visit. The museum covers everything from the state's natural and geographic history to its prehistoric peoples, to its native and modern peoples, as well as its colonial and antebellum history right up to the modern day. There are also revolving exhibits which are set up for limited times throughout the year. Obviously, a large portion of the museum is dedicated to the native inhabitants, including the famous Seminole people, and the time of Spanish colonization. The exhibits feature artifacts that are hundreds and even thousands of years old. There's even an exhibit about the Timucuan people and the famous Kingsley Plantation in the Jacksonville area, which, by the way, I've also made a video about. The Civil War history was particularly interesting as several period flags and banners are displayed here. Florida has a very rich history that's unique among American states, and it's definitely worth exploring when you have the chance. Admission to the museum and the Capitol buildings is free and open to the public. Metered parking is available downtown, and everything is within easy walking distance. End your day with a visit to Cascade Park just a couple blocks south.